Hi, I'm Zoe and welcome to Paranormal Extraction and my show. I am so excited today, except for one thing. Our monitor blew up. So we have to use a computer, but that's better than nothing. So we have on Robyn Haynes on today. Now she did part 1, terrifying extraterrestrial encounters. Today we are back to talk to her again about part 2 and about her mind-blowing extraterrestrial encounters. We had a lot more to talk about. That's why I'm here. So I just wanted to let you know that Robyn is extremely well known. And not just the alien, we're talking about extraterrestrial community, but also in the cryptid community. She also has her own website for people that are out there that need help with this. And you can check that out at paranormal-empowerment.com. So let's get ready for the heyday of no monitor. Hey, Robyn, I cannot believe the monitor went out. Now, I know you've said this has happened to you before, but our whole system is going to be, we're going to have to take it into the computer shop today. But anyways, so we're using just the laptop. And we really need to do this show because you're going to be coming on others. And I'm swamped until April. But, you're like one of my best. And you will be on a lot of shows because your credibility and everything that you do. So today we're talking about, we have part 2 because the other one was just absolutely insane. So, and I know that if anyone wants to get a hold of you, they can go to paranormal-empowerment.com.
Dash, not slash, dash.
Dash, oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so we're on the fly today, guys. This is a little different. So Robyn, let's we talked about so much, which you guys can find on Paranormal Extraction Part 1 on the page with Robyn, not page, YouTube. So Robyn, let's start off with this strange pregnancy you're speaking about.
Yeah, first of all, Zoe, thank you for having me. You know I love you. You're the best.
I know.
And I love the show.
I appreciate it.
It was very surprising for me. It happened 2 different times, actually. The first time I was married, my husband had had a vasectomy. There's no way I could get pregnant. I had not been unfaithful. And I started showing pregnancy symptoms. I had morning sickness. My breasts were getting bigger. My abdomen was getting bigger. And it just kept getting more advanced. I went into the doctor. Blood tests did not show a pregnancy. Urine tests did not show a pregnancy. They did ultrasound. The doctor did pelvics on me, and he said, your uterus is growing. It's right on target. Every month, your uterus is getting bigger. He said, I'm telling you, you're pregnant. And he said, even with a pseudo pregnancy, you're making milk. Your body's developing as there is a pregnancy, and your uterus feels full. That's not normal for a false pregnancy. And so they scheduled ultrasounds. They did attempt it 4 times. Every time there's a malfunction with the equipment, much like we had today. And so, yeah, it tends to happen a lot with me around. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I did a show the other day and the same problem. So they after the 4th time, they just said, forget it with the ultrasound. We're just going to treat this as a pregnancy. I felt movement. Every month I went in. This went on for between 4.5 to 5.5 months. I normally feel my pregnancies like within immediately. I start the morning sickness, and that's what I do with this one as well.
Right.
I ended up in maternity clothes. I could not wear my clothing anymore. I had to go into
God.
maternity clothes. And of course, my husband's having a fit because he's had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant. How is this happening? And I'm like, fine, DNA tested afterwards. I'm telling you, I have not done anything with anybody. And so I got 5.5, close to that 6-month mark.
Right.
And for a couple of days, I had dreams of an ET coming and taking the baby. And at that time, you have to understand, I had been having experiences with the ETs my whole life. I never really went as far as to say, oh, this is a pregnancy. This is an implantation, from the ETs. I think in the back of my mind, I knew it was a possibility, but that was not anywhere that mentally, I was in my 20s. That was not anywhere I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of pushed that on the back burner. And then after the third night of the dreams, I woke up the next morning and my stomach was flat.
Now,
it had never happened. I was that flat.
I know, by being very involved with the extraterrestrial community, as we're talking about them today, if you want to call them aliens, but this has happened multiple, actually hundreds of times, of women coming on and talking about this. And they've even had their doctor sitting right there with them. Okay. And so they're coming in and they're implanting, and then they take the child. This is normal.
Right.
This is a normal thing that happens.
They did it one other time with me, and the child was taken at 3.5 months. So I don't know why that one was taken so early, where this one was taken much later. I have not talked about this my entire life, because you get a lot of hate coming at you, and you get a lot of people that think you're crazy, but they already think I'm crazy because of the work I do with the cryptids. So I decided, what the heck.
Okay, but Robyn, all they need to do is search for it, and,
right, exactly. But the reason I came forward today was because this is happening to people all over the world. Women are going through this, whether we want to believe it or not. It's an actual thing that happens.
Yes.
And they need to know they're not the only ones.
Well, they're terrified. When this happens, this is a major PTSD event. This is,
absolutely.
They're crying on these shows.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that people need to realize is this wasn't just like something I woke up to. Okay. I have had DNA taken from me my entire life from the ETs. Wake up with these little triangular, not an implant, but like it looks like a stamp or something on me that does heal. But I mean, it's like 3 red dots that come out in the shape of a triangle, and then you can see the line between the dots where it's connected. And this has gone on my whole life. I've woken up and had large handprints that were very thin, long-fingered, black and blue marks on the inside of my thighs, like something pried my legs open.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last show. It's pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Like out of nowhere, this happened. I knew that they were taking DNA. I had very vivid dreams of them taking DNA from me. And then this happened. And so then it was just the baby was gone completely. And I went into the doctor's, and he's like looking at me because my stomach was flat. I mean, it was completely flat like it was before I had the baby. And they did a pelvicotomy, and he said it looked like I had, had delivered a child. I mean, like I had drainage afterwards on the one I didn't with the 3.5-month-old. I did with this one. And he said he didn't understand it at all. I had marks where my belly button were that were unexplained. Now, how they took it, I don't know, because I don't recall that part. I just remember them doing it. And then years later, from that first one, when the 3.5-month-old one was taken, I had very vivid dreams after of me holding this child and trying to get away so that this baby would not be taken as well. And I would see ships ahead of me chasing me. And I did that for days before they finally got to me and the baby was gone. And these were dreams that I went through nightly. How are they doing this? I have my own opinions on that. Do I have anything scientific to prove it? Absolutely not. How do you prove any of this?
No, they don't. They don't have any scientific evidence on this. No. But what I have, when I have talked to multiple people about this, they say, and they usually have their experiences from a young age, and then they kind of remember it. Some of them don't. Okay, I'm not going to say everyone, But then they say that the ETs take them up to the ship and meet their child.
I've only met mine once.
And that's a freak out.
Yeah. I was actually at home. I was sitting on my bed. I was wide awake. It was like 7 o'clock at night. It's not like it was late and I was asleep. And I was watching TV and this being just appeared. It walked into my room. It was in almost like a translucent form and walked to the side of the bed and called me mom. I mean, you want to actually have a PTSD moment, have that happen. And I sat there looking at it. It felt female to me.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was, how would I know? But it felt very female to me. And I said, I'm not your mom. And she said, yes, you are. She said, you were my mom in the beginning. And then she said, thank you. And I didn't even know what to say at that point.
They always say that. They always say
really?
that.
That I hadn't heard before.
Yeah, to their mother. Some people they allow them sometimes to spend some time with you, others, okay?
Yeah.
And they look very unusual.
This one did not look as much human as what I would have thought.
Yeah.
I've had very vivid dreams of other ones that have, in my opinion, felt like they were mine. And they looked more human. This one looked more ET than it did human.
Right.
But, I don't know. But the physical marks that I had on me, you can't say they don't exist because I had physical marks. I had physical things showing that this was done.
Well, yeah, and I've seen you've had
handprints.
You have photos. You have all that stuff. You know, it's
absolutely.
Just like your MUFON video, okay, that was approved by MUFON.
Oh, absolutely.
These things exist. It's gone through scrutiny.
It has. And, I have to be honest and say there are some kinds of ETs that are not bad. I always put that out there because I don't want people to think everything is bad because it's not. Everything has free will. So there are good and there are bad in it. But yeah, they've taken my DNA for years. Everybody says, well, you must be Rh negative. No, that's not it at all. I'm actually a universal blood type, which means my blood type can be used for everything. And according to the ETs, my blood type is great to create hybrids. And whether they use it like, with cattle mutilations and they get DNA from them or whatever, it's like with the cows. Part of the reason they use a lot of the cows is the blood from them can be used universally. And in my case, because of my blood type, and no, it's not Rh negative. It's not Rh at all. But it is compatible for hybridization, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, actually, when I've seen a couple of those shows, they don't talk about Rh negative. But, Rh negative is there's not many people that have Rh negative. There is one part of the country, I can't remember the name of it. They are all Rh negative. I'm Rh negative, okay, because I've done a lot of research on this. And I also have another trait. 3% of the population only has green eyes. So what I have been told is that I'm a Nordic hybrid, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And with those traits, okay?
Right.
Do I believe I am? 100% by what I have gone through. You're just a totally different person, okay? You're not your average person walking around talking about Louis Vuitton bags and what clothes you got. You can't do that. It just doesn't exist. You have to talk to the community to understand more and have people believe you, because they think you're crazy and you're not.
Yeah.
So that's why you're on here. So
that like I said, I have never really talked a lot about it until recently, but that's only because I've worked with people and I've helped people my whole life. That's what I do. I work with the cryptids, the UFOs, the ETs, abductions, all of that. I've always done it privately. Now I'm doing it more, out there with the website. But people need to realize that this is a real thing. You know, it's outside of the box. It's scary to think about, but there are a lot of people out there that are trapped because they don't have any place to go with this. They don't have anybody to talk to. They don't think anybody's going to believe them. And I figure if I get a lot of hate coming at me because of this, I don't even care, because if it helps one single person to hear this, then it's worth it. It's worth taking the hits. It just is, because nobody should have to go through this alone. I did. I went through it by myself because I didn't know, not because I didn't have people in my life, but because I was too frightened to talk to anybody about it.
Well, yeah,
And that's just not
the
okay.
same thing happened to me. Okay, let's just go back to the 80s or the 90s, you know, when I was trying to do research. I mean, there wasn't everything we have now to understand, you know, so all
Right.
you had was books. Okay, but the other thing that's so cool about you and what you're doing now is you're also helping adolescents, okay, because their
Absolutely.
parents don't
Sorry.
understand what is going on. So they
They
have
don't.
that contact information for you to help them understand
Right.
what is going on, and on top of that, heal them.
Right. And the other thing I'm working with the adolescents, and I've done this with several, is, you know, there's entities that are out there that like to try to attach themselves. And even if they're not attached, they like to peck at us and bug us and try to bring our lives down. People, when they notice, and this isn't in all cases, but in some, parents notice that their kids all of a sudden go from being happy and healthy and thriving, and all of a sudden they're in a really dark place.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes there's reasons for it. Sometimes it has to do more with the paranormal spectrum. And so I've worked with a lot of the kids in the paranormal spectrum to get them back where they need to be, give them some understanding, give them their power back.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they need their power back to know that they can take care of themselves. And, you know, again, whether people believe me, whether they, you know, discredit me, whatever, I normally don't have that issue. I find that people are incredibly kind to me. I don't understand it, but I appreciate it more than they'll ever know. I don't get a lot of people attacking me. I don't get a lot of credibility issues, because the people that have worked with me know. I've proven myself time and time and time and time again. And so I just, when it came to this issue and you and I had talked about it, I just really felt that if there's anybody out there that suffered with this or had this happen or thought it wasn't real, and maybe they thought they were crazy or whatever, they're not crazy. They're absolutely not crazy. They don't have to go through it alone. There's people out there like myself that will listen to you, talk to you, guide you through it, find a way for you to accept what's happened and move forward. And I just figured that it was worth the risk to come forward and
Well,
talk about it.
my issue was, I've talked to a lot of people that have had issues like this. They don't understand, okay, why their child is saying things about things coming into their room or paranormal
Yep.
stuff or things like that, and they have nowhere to go, okay, because
Right.
they're adolescents. So this is a huge trend because the adolescents are being extremely
Ignored.
awakened.
Ignored.
They're ignored, but they are awakened where it's happening so much with them, no one knows where to go.
Right. And the thing is because of the age that they're at, whether it's from birth up through, you know, the adolescent stage, they are open. They have not formed preconceived notions that our world has put on them that things exist or don't exist. Okay. Like I say, in every show I'm on, the world that's out there that we see never existed to begin with. It's a fallacy. It's not real. This is the real world. This is what's really out there. And these kids are in a position where they haven't chosen to believe what society deems as correct. And they're open. And that's why they're getting this contact. That's why these things are happening. And they need to know that their voices are heard, their voices are valid, and what they're saying, somebody will care and listen to and possibly explain it, tell them how to get it out of the way so they can move forward, or have some kind of assistance in dealing with it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all part of it. These kids are more victimized than adults are. They just are quiet about it because nobody wants to listen. So, you know, for the parents out there, if you have a child that comes to you about this, don't think that it is a imaginary friend or this is a bad dream.
Put them on
Not that some
drugs.
of
Take
them
them to a
are.
psychiatrist and say that
The
they're.
psychiatrist can't help them.
No, I
They don't.
know, but that's where they go first. And then it's all the
Right.
drugs because they think that they're schizophrenic. You know, that's
Yeah, and
bullshit.
I've worked with kids that they thought were schizophrenic and actually weren't. And
Right.
we did some things and I worked with them and they are perfectly fine. They're drug free and everything is fine. And they're doing quite well.
Yeah.
But like I said, as a parent, of course, when your child comes to you, you're going to take them to a medical professional, because as a parent, that you want the best for your kids. It's not where the parents aren't doing their job. They are. Unfortunately, the job that they're doing is a job that society deems as how you handle it. And in these cases, that is not correct.
Yes. Tell me about the implant, because I have one too. I have my own stories.
I have one actually in my ear, but it's right down in the tube. It has not, I will be honest and say, it has not been picked up with an MRI. However, it is still there. My doctor believes it's there. That's how severe it is. And what happens is whenever the UFOs or the ETs are around, I feel a vibration. And then shortly after the vibration, it gets a little bit painful, and I start getting very unusual drainage out of that ear.
Wow.
And I went to my doctor, who is, I love her. She is very well aware about my work in the cryptids and the UFO community and supports it 100%. And I said, this is what's going on. I think I have an ear infection. And she said, how often does this happen? And I told her, she checked my ear. She said, if you had an ear infection, every time this is happening to you, there would be scar tissue. There is no scar tissue. She said, I said, but it's weird, because usually afterwards there's UFOs or there's ETs or there's something of that nature. And she said, in my opinion, she said, there is no sign that there's ever been an infection in there. I think this is them. I think, there probably is an implant in there like you suspect. I've had the Sasquatch tell me for years about this implant. I've tried to get it out. I can't get it out. And I'm normally quite good at getting out implants, for out of the cryptids for them. This one, I can't budge, and they can't seem to do it either.
Well,
and my doctor gave me medication to put in the ear when it happens, so that I don't get that infection. And the drainage that comes out doesn't look like an infection. It's very odd. It's clear. Sometimes it's tinged with blood. But it happens every time they're around.
Okay, well, I have an interesting story. I saw my dentist, and he told me there's something very strange it was higher up. They took the X-ray wrong, and I'm concerned about it. So I'm going to send you to a neurologist. And so I went. They did a full head scan, an MRI, and I went in to see her. And I'm sitting in, like you normally do with the doctor, and then the surgeon comes in and talks to you. She comes in the room, she goes, I want you to come in here and see this. And so I went into the back where they look at all the x-rays and all that stuff. And she says, this is not normal. I have never in my 30 years of being a surgeon seen anything like this. And I said, well, I want you to take it out. She said, I will not touch it. I won't touch it. They won't touch them. They won't go in.
I have contactees that have implants, and they won't touch theirs either. The medical field won't. In my case, I've never had them do an MRI to search for it. The MRIs I've had that were done were because they were doing a scan on my head.
Mm-hmm.
I would assumed it would have showed up in that. Have I ever had a scan done specifically in the ear for that implant? I never have. So I can't say that it would not show. I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, we can order one if you want it done. What is the point if I have it done?
Well, because they're not going to take it out. And the guy that used to take them out, I think they killed him.
They're not going to mess with it to try to get it out anyway. It's going to be more of poking and prodding. I went through that with the fetal implants.
Yeah, it's a complete.
It's a complete. Poked and prodded, and I don't need to be a lab rat.
They won't do it. It's complete crap. So forget it. If you got one, you know it. I know for sure because I got a doctor and a surgeon to tell me, yes, it's there. So they're not going to touch it.
There's no point for me to do it. The doctor said she'd write me a referral to have it done without a problem. There is no point to it because nobody's going to believe me. And even if it shows up on there, for what? They aren't going to take it out. They can't get it out because it's going to move. As soon as they get near it, it's going to move. And they're not going to be able to do it. And it's just going to be more focus and attention on what's going on for no results, nothing, no improvement whatsoever. And it's not going to help. So there's just no point in doing it. My records, I was going to mention this earlier and I didn't, my records on those pregnancies, just so everybody knows, they were immediately destroyed. There is no record of anything. And the hospital is now closed. They closed the hospital. shortly after this. I want to say within 2 years after this happened, my records disappeared, and then that happened. When at some point, I did have to go in and have to have a hysterectomy because of the damage that was done to my uterus from the ETs. I did have all my children that I wanted, fortunately, but it was not easy. And when they took out my uterus, they found a substance in there that, in their terms, was unidentifiable. They sent it to 5 different labs, or no, I'm sorry, 4 different labs in the country. They said they're the top labs that they did send it to be able to find out what this substance was. My entire uterus was filled with it, and not one lab could determine what it was. They said they had never found anything like that. There was nothing that they could even compare it to. And so it was listed in every single file as unknown. Within 2 months, my files were destroyed and I was never able to get a copy.
Well, of course. I mean, you know, the government comes in, they kill people like Phil Schneider, and we can just keep going down the list. They're dead.
Yeah.
They come out of the woodwork, okay, for disclosure, and all of a sudden, Phil Schneider gets like a heart attack of unknown circumstances after he comes out of this, of natural causes, and all his files are gone. I don't think so, girl. I don't think so. And it's not the first time. It's
no.
I had a guy on that I posted about today that's coming out with a movie. Okay. And the government is seriously, he's on there going, they are shutting me down. They're shutting this down. And he's actually talking about he's afraid for his freaking life now.
I was told, whether it's true or not, I was told I'm on the targeted list, but I don't have any way to prove that.
Well,
I don't know.
Robyn, I've
been harassed by the government, but whether or not I'm on the target list. Being
harassed by the government is a target list. And most likely I'll be on a target list because I talk about a lot of weird shit on my show.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, unfortunately I can't have you sitting in the room with me like Joe Rogan and fly everyone to my location. So everything has to be on monitor from all these people all over the country, you know, explaining this stuff. I mean, I wish I was Joe Rogan, but I love him because he swears a lot. But he has some very, very, you know, scientific, good information out there for people on multiple levels. Anyways, so, you know, we got this implant thing, and so we're looking at the other experience. I can't remember what it was, Robyn, with the ETs. It was the pregnancy. It was the
we can talk about the taking possession.
Oh, I think it was the taking possession. We got 10 more minutes, so I think we can do that.
Okay, I'm going to do just a quick overview. Okay, when they take possession, I was actually given information from the ETs through a third party that wanted me to know it. And basically what happens is you're watched from the time you're born. They are able to access every memory you have in your head. They know your patterns. They know everybody that's in your life. They know everything that happened in your life. And it's in their memory. Okay, they know how you speak, who you talk to, everything that goes on in your life, they embed in their own minds.
Yes, they do.
At a certain point, they simply remove your soul, remove you, and they slip into your body. They have all the same memories. They have everything that you did because they basically have lived their life through you. They've watched you your whole life. Mm-hmm. This is fact. This is not, I mean, this was from them themselves. These are from the good ETs that wanted our people to know what's happening to them because it's happening too much. Mm-hmm. What you need to know is if you encounter anybody that you might suspect this has happened to, they can imitate the movements. They can imitate them. They know the memories. They know everything about you, every minuscule detail. They cannot imitate the voices correctly. It may sound quite similar. Mm-hmm. They're going to go from speaking very fluidly to speaking more in broken English or whatever language it is, but they do shorter sentences. They don't want to look you in the eye when they're speaking. And if you really focus hard on it, you will notice the speech patterns are slightly different, even if the voices sound correct.
Yes.
Okay, people need to be aware of that because it's happening more and more and more. But they know every memory, so you're not going to be able to trip them up and say, hey, do you remember when you were in second grade? They know it. They know everything from the time of your conception until the time they take possession.
Well, I actually know all about that. I watched a scientist come on, and he was talking about, I mean, his thing is, believing now in extraterrestrials and stuff like that. But he did talk about possession of people, okay? And then he went
Yeah.
on to talk about there was two people in the audience that came to him up afterwards. And so this happens. Okay, I know it's really far out there, but it needs to be known. So Robyn, okay, this is my question. These other people, they just allow it to happen. That's just how they exist. What would you do if you knew somebody that was going through this? How would they get rid of it?
And it always comes back to the same thing. I sound like a broken record. It comes back to the energy work. Everything is energy and frequency. You can stop it. You can try to control it, but it has to be done with the energy, and it's the energy that you carry in your body. It's your energy and your frequency that encompasses you, and you need to learn how to use that to protect yourself. It's the only thing we have against it, because these are not things that you're going to take a gun at and shoot it. I'm not saying you can't shoot one and kill it, but when they are at that level where they're going to take possession of you, they're doing it somewhat between, it's not just a physical thing. They don't walk up to you and climb in your body. It's more through an astral. They're going to remove your soul and put theirs inside of you. Okay, and they almost use your body like an avatar.
Okay, yeah, exactly. But the thing is
out
that
there somewhere
they're
doing
not
their own.
they're not, Robyn, getting rid of them. From what I've done my research on, no, they are in the body and they're walking
Absolutely.
around. Okay,
Yeah,
and they cannot get rid of them. That's the way they are.
Once they're inside, they're really, I don't know. I mean, there's energy work you can do to try to get them to leave, but it's very difficult, if not impossible. But you can stop it from happening, because I had one attempt it with me, and when I used the energy on it, it could not penetrate. It could not get in.
Okay, so is it out of you now?
But most of these, when it happens, people don't realize is nobody knows it's happening when it's happening.
No, they don't.
These people do not know that these things are doing them. They do not know they're being monitored their whole life. They don't know they're a lab rat. They don't know any of these things. So how do you protect yourself against something that you don't know? And then when it happens, it's over and done with. And what do you do?
That's what I'm saying. These people are just in terrible. A human body. Okay, they can't get out. They accept it because they're not there anymore. Obviously, it's just accepted. There is no help once they do that, as far as my research.
Yeah. I mean, you can't just go and pull it out. I mean, there are ways, I'm sure, but the thing that you need to realize is when you try to pull something out that doesn't want to be pulled out, it can stop your heart. These things can kill you from the inside out. So it's not like, I remove entities off of people all the time. It's not hard for me to do so. I don't mind doing it. And I teach people how to do the protective energy bubbles, and I also bubble them myself so that things can't penetrate and do that again. But the problem is, once something is inside like that, and I've worked on cases before on this, and you go to try to get them out, if these beings don't want out, they can hurt you from the inside. They can kill you. Yeah. And they also play with the mind enough where you aren't there anymore. No. So there's nothing, you're not going to come to somebody and say, hey, I think there's an ET inside of me. Can you get it out? Because you're not there. They've already taken over the cell of your body. They're already walking around. Yeah, I know this. And it's really scary. And, I mean, we're talking about the scary side of it today, okay? And, they aren't all like this, like the Nordic hybrids that, and there's several other races that are enlightened and helping, the earth. You're just giving. I'm not so sure about the Nordics, but okay, I'm gonna go with that. So, well, I could give you. I had a couple encounters with them, and they never hurt me.
I can't
but
remember. They
I don't
come.
necessarily know they're all
They
on the
come
list.
from the Pleiades. So
Yeah.
they do call
I
them
mean,
different. They call them different
they
things.
didn't, yeah, they didn't feel bad to me, but they showed up in a situation where I had been very much hurt. And I don't understand to this day why they showed up, because they didn't save me. They took me back there the next day.
Well,
and they didn't let anything happen to me, but they were there. So I don't know that they were good or bad.
okay.
I mean, and just because it was the bad experience doesn't mean they were bad.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I mean, this is really good information, but I really want to say that they're not all bad. These are just your experiences, and that
Right.
I've done a lot of good shows, okay, with people that have good experiences. I've done a lot of shows where people have gone into major PTSD and they have written books. They're best-selling authors. And yeah, so it's kind of like it's all over the map with that. And
It's a free will thing. I've had just as many good experiences with the ETs as I have the bad. I've done healing work on the ETs. I've had them do healing work on me. So there are good ones out there. We cannot say that they're all bad, because that's simply not true.
No, but what we're trying to let the public know is that if they're having issues with this or they don't know where to go, they can go to you. Okay?
Absolutely.
That is
Anytime.
why we are talking about this, and we haven't even gone into the paranormal side of things. Okay?
Right.
So this is one thing we're focusing on because you've been accredited by MUFON, you know, and there's some other organizations that you're involved in, which we can talk at a different time, the Geno Project. I'm not going to get into it right now because it's a whole nother show. But so I mean, I just want to thank you for coming on and letting people know about this and a safe place to go, which is,
Oh, thank you so much, Zoe. I appreciate it.
It's
like anybody is welcome to contact me. If they go on my website, there's a contact form. If there's some service that you would need that isn't listed, because I don't have all the services listed, if there's just not enough room, just write me on the contact form what you're looking for.
Right.
If I can't do it, I can put you on a path to who can.
Yeah, exactly. And that's paranormal dash empowerment.com. And so now that's what I wanted to do the show about, is we need to help not only adults, but adolescents. Get your name out there. They've already watched part 1, scary, part 2, scary, but now they have an answer. Okay.
Yeah. And the healing has to begin at some point. These kids need to be helped so that they're not traumatized for the rest of their life. This is life altering. You can deal with it. I dealt with it.
And Robyn, we have so much more to talk about that, but I'm not, if one instant is happening, generally families are all involved.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get into that right now because we're going to close this. I think you've really, I think we've really made our point on what we want to talk today. Sorry about the screen, guys.
No, they're not alone.
Sorry about the screen. The other one blew up once again.
It's fine.
The videographer.
I'm used to that part. That happens a lot.
The videographer over here has freaked out and is like, his work is so important to him. And well, this is the way it goes. So I just want to say thank you for coming on. I know you're going to be on again. And yes, we're going to, talk about your business and what you do and all of the different factors of that. And I think people will be really excited to hear about that because it's going to give them more information than just about extraterrestrials.
Yeah, information is power. That's why the site's name is called Paranormal Empowerment. Get your power back. We are not as helpless as we think, and there are some things that we can do to protect ourselves, and we all need to be made aware of it. We all need to have a safe place to discuss what's going on and happening so that we know we're not alone in this. I did it by myself my whole life. I don't want anybody to go through that again. No, it's just not okay.
And so did I. And so did I. And that's why I am adamant about the show. So I just want to say thank you for coming on.
Zoe. I just adore you.
And I adore you. And we are going to come back with another show. You know, I mean, you're like one of
Absolutely.
my main guests now. So
I'm so sorry, I love you.
I just want to say thanks so much, girl. Thanks for being on, and I
thank
look
you.
forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Love and appreciate you guys.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.